Good evening, my beautiful people. How y'all doing today? Y'all blessed, y'all highly favored. All right, so we can get into overall thoughts, okay? We know the times are tough. We know we're constantly seeing the same thing. We constantly seeing people approach different situations in different ways. You see people angry, mad, and upset, and all of these things, and you see police getting away with a lot of crimes. Now, don't get it twisted. They have some good police. They have people that's actually trying to change the system. But in order to change the system, you have to come up with a way that not only holds you accountable as the good cop, but that holds the bad cop accountable. But overall, it creates a better bond and a better bond between police and citizens, and it helps to build trust. Because how does it help to build trust? Because they know that the people that are appointed to positions to be police, that they're not only doing their job, but they're not racist in no form or fashion. They're not prejudiced, and they don't have any ill intent. All right, so I call it Bill 2020. All right, so the first thing on the bill, to have body cam footage available to the public when an individual is killed unjustifiable, to remove all doubt from the citizens, we the people. Why would this be important? All right, so this will be important to have body camera footage available to the public when an individual is killed unjustifiable, because not only does it give the perspective of the cop, but it also lets people see things from the way it really is. I mean, you have citizens that record things, which is good, which helps gets it out there. But imagine if the police department would release the body cam footage when an individual is believed to have been killed unjustifiable by the police. It would remove all doubt from citizens, we the people. All right, number two, extensive background checks on law enforcement that look for any form of prejudice or racial discrimination on their social media, etc. All right, so why this important? I know that police go through an extensive background check, and I know that they're hired based on certain qualifications, but I think it's important to add qualifications. You shouldn't have anybody on the force that is racist or prejudiced or show any type of racial discrimination. And I know social media is freedom of speech, but also when you're applying for a job, any regular civilian is applying for a job, they look at their racial background, they look at they look at their social media, they look at different things that let them know whether they are worth hiring or whether they are the right fit for the job. Well, police should be held the same accountable. When have a police that shows racial discrimination and prejudice and doesn't uphold the beliefs of to protect and serve them in any form of fashion, they should not be hired. This would eliminate a lot of racial problems, in my opinion. All right, number three, come up with a proactive way to ensure lethal force is the absolute last option. When I look at the different killings and the stuff that is done by police, and when I look at the stuff that is justifiable to unjustifiable and just the overall approach to things, I understand it. You got a badge, you in a tight position. If you're a good cop, you're just trying to do your job. Sometimes you don't know how a person may react. You don't know, whatnot. But there should be measures to play. Just like they use those bullets? Rubber bullets in the crowd. I'm not saying use rubber bullets on people when you feel threatened, but I'm saying you have a taser. If a person doesn't shows any signs of threat, and I know there's a lot of people say, well, police may holler or a person may holler, they fear for their life. Okay, you're giving basic instructions, or when you're leading and guiding, it's a certain way you go about it, and you should be trained to deal with people. If you're going to have police this is what's going to go into the next thing. If you're going to have people policing in certain communities, let's say a white man or a white male or Caucasian or let's see, because white, they have Jews and all of that, but let's just say a Caucasian policing in a black community. Now, nothing is wrong with that, but the issue is that Caucasian may not have an understanding for the people in that area, so he may not be able to literally serve the people properly when it comes to people breaking laws, or he may not be able to serve the people properly when it comes to understanding who and how they are as a people, because black people has been racial profiled for many, many years, for I won't say centuries, but for decades, and it's something that got to change. I think it would be best if you would have the ethnic group of that police in their particular neighborhood or around people that they know, not saying people that they know as in individuals that they would vouch for, but people with the same mindset as them. Each community have a group of people. Well, in order to learn how to interact with different people, you have to actually be involved in the community to get the understanding for the overall personas of the people within the community, and that's how you create growth. So when I say come up with a proactive way to ensure lethal force is the absolute last option to get into details about that, still many different ways. When they have protests and whatnot, what the police have riot gear. If you feel threatened, the police should have some type of place where they can put their gear in a car to approach and to de-escalate a situation. There should never be escalation of a situation. Also, understand that when depending on the person and what may be the crime that you are told that they committed, understand that you have to follow certain procedures to protect you. But think about it like this: you can follow those certain procedures. You don't have to curse, which I understand freedom of speech, but you don't have to curse. You don't have to talk down on them. You don't have to talk them and treat them like they do not understand. You should be able to communicate with them. If you mean aggressively, you should be able to communicate with them, not aggressively, but forcefully, without cursing, without calling them out their name, without making them feel less than a human. All right. So you can do that. All right. So let's say a person seems like they might be a threat and they not cooperating. If it's 4 of y'all, there's no need for any type of gun. There's no need. Once the person is detained in handcuffs, if a person seems like they want to get away, they have a taser. I believe the taser goes about 20 feet, and even still, rubber bullets. I don't know what it feels like to be hit with a rubber bullet, but from the pictures that I've seen, it can be very devastating. But it also can prevent unjustifiable killings, because if a police feel threatened, I'm not telling them to not have real bullets, but I'm saying if they use unlethal bullets that are rubber bullets, then I'm pretty sure that individual not about to keep running and keep going after being shot a couple of times by rubber bullets. And I'm not encouraging police to shoot people with rubber bullets. I'm just overall saying change the approach. If you have to go through every possible way that you can de-escalate the situation before using lethal force. And if a person's back is turned, or they're on the ground, or they're handcuffed, or it's 4 of y'all, there should be many different ways to de-escalate a situation without using blunt force, or what you would call lethal force. And it's ways to de-escalate a situation. If you're afraid that a person has a weapon, ask them, do they have a weapon? Do you have a weapon on you, sir? Do you have a weapon on you, ma'am? Then tell them, after they get their response, put your hands up. Do you have a weapon on you, sir? Do you have a weapon on you, ma'am? Get on the ground. If that approach would delete all words within, because now you know that if that person is unarmed or armed, and it would help remove the idea of absolute lethal force. Lethal force should be the absolute last option when you've done all you can. Again, your job is to protect and serve. It's not to kill, protect and serve. All right, so number 4, which I kind of got into number 4, talking about number 3, because to me they go hand in hand. But have police monitoring and observing things within their community or within their race, ethnic, to avoid racial profiling. There's too many times that you see police racial profiling people, or you see a white police in a black neighborhood, or I said a Caucasian in a I say white police in a black neighborhood, but it goes even further. Black police in a white neighborhood, or Asian in a, I understand that. But if you're gonna have police in different neighborhoods and you might not have enough people on the force, well, there should be some type of social classes that teaches police how a specific group of people may interact, or the way they may communicate with people, so that they have an understanding for that person's background. Now, I know you ain't gonna be able to reach all races, but I feel like if there is some understanding for different backgrounds and different ethnicities on a social level, that there would be a better understanding of how to interact with individuals, because you never know a person's background and what they come from and what they are capable and what they're not capable of doing. But judging them and overall coming up with the aspect that they're dangerous is not necessarily the answer, because that's racial profiling. Just because of the way a person looks, the way a person dressed, the way a person talks, their overall lingo, what they bring to the table, just because it may not be what you're accustomed to, doesn't mean they thugs, doesn't mean they're ignorant, doesn't mean they're all things that can put down a person. And the way to really eliminate that problem, like I said, have police monitoring and observing things within their community, within their race, ethnicity, to avoid racial profiling. All right, and 5, this is the most important. Lastly, unless there's a substantial amount of proof of a threat and or very little proof of resistance, hold them accountable of murder to some degree, whether on duty or off duty. All right, so what's the basis of this? When I really think about it, all right, so the basis of this is, if there's not enough evidence that they're a threat, then there's no need to use a gun. There's no need to try to use gun or lethal force. It prevents the overall idea. So if they're not a threat and you shoot them and you kill them, then that should be considered that they should get be accountable for murder to some degree, regardless of what was going on. Because if you feel threatened and you don't feel threatened and there's not a substantial amount of proof that they're a threat, then there's no need to shoot or result in lethal force. All right. Number two, if there's very little proof of resistance, because a lot of things got to be said. Oh, he resisted, but what are the proof? What does your body cam show? Is there really any proof of resistance? If a person is complying, then there should be no reason that you should use lethal force. And I say that is if you take away, you basically look at the evidence that's presented to see if a person really was a threat, and you also look at the proof to see if they resisted, and then overall the commands, it should be they should be a law of command, meaning that there should be steps that the police takes as far as verbally, not verbal abuse, but verbally to actually bring about change, so that when they actually try to de-escalate the situation, that it will help prevent murder to some degree. And the reason why I say hold police accountable to murder to some degree, whether on duty and off duty, because they have a lot of off-duty cops that tend to want to do their job and tend to want to take the role of a cop, or cops that retired that tend to want to put the law in their own hands, but then it gets justified because, oh, this person used to be a police officer, excuse me. This person used to be a police officer. Oh, this person knows the law. Well, you're not a police officer at the moment, so that doesn't give you any right to stop an individual just because they look suspicious. All right, that's what you call the police for. All right, so lastly, unless there's substantial amount of proof or threat or very little proof of resistance, hold them accountable of murder to some degree, whether on duty and off duty. All right, so these are the laws that I would think would make a difference. I call it Bill 2020. All right, so now I'm going to get into the overall topic. I know I talk a lot, but this is really deep. Just how can we bring about change? All right, I understand. People mad at the police. I understand. A lot of people don't like the police. I don't really care for the police just because I feel like I've been traumatized just from seeing the things, and I know that the majority of the times my eyes ever encountering the police are very slim to none to being, it can get bad, not because of who I am as a person, but because of my skin color, and that's sad. So it should be the department job to come up with ways. Hold on, but I'm about to get into it. Give me 1 second. It should be the department job to come up with ways to figure out how can you build a bond between the community and show transparency that they would not tolerate bad police officers and they would not tolerate unjustifiable killings. Now, there's ways to go about that, and there's ways to make change. But you have to start small within the communities. You have to get involved in the community. I'm not talking about your simple things. The image of police is bad. You know what? I don't like police. You know why? Because I feel like every time I might encounter a police, that my life might be on the line. Yes, I have people that I went to school with that are police officers that are good people. Yes, I know good police, but that's my overall thought process from being mentally damaged, from seeing different things from what police have abused their power, and it's not saying so. The thing is, don't look at it like, okay, you seeing your black brother in a uniform, okay, maybe they're doing it for the right reasons. If there is enough people doing the thing for the right reason and changing the image of police, there can be a difference. But I got a lot more to say. But just to give y'all overall idea, that's Bill 2020. Let's go, Brenton. NWB Right coming to you live for the one time. We're going to keep it G all the way free, 100% me. What are you doing? We got to make change, but in order to see the change, you have to actually implement policies and different things that can actually make a difference. And you have to be able to, as a police officer, interact with the community, good, bad, whether they're a troublemaker or whatnot. If they're not breaking any laws at the moment, take the time to sit down to make change, to get an understanding, to feel their frustrations and stuff, because that's the only way real change is going to come, is if you actually change the image of the police department and you actually change the image on what systematic racism and just overall